Division 1 Digital Animation. First place and state champion goes to Mace.
I felt impressed and amazed and excited.
Yeah.
Because it showed people the lesson. Communicating with art and open heart.
Obviously, film competition was not something we even knew about until, the CTV department at Salina ISD sort of let him into that. And of course, that became his biggest obsession because all he's ever wanted to do is make movies, and now someone was going to let him do that. If you ask him what was at stake, his entire future was at stake by way of not having this win.
I was doing my own drawing on my own, drawing these posters, or as in Miss Verdicts, and I had a table mate with me. And he was amazed about how I draw, without having to sketch the rough draft and just constantly draw with just one marker. Yeah, I was unstoppable.
But for us, I think what we would say was at stake for him was an indeterminate amount of sadness and angst in the house about what this means for him in his mind. There was a time where we didn't know that he would have a career in this. Mm-hmm. We didn't know that this would turn into something.
Dane was a typical baby. So easy, really, for a fourth baby, the easiest baby ever. And then around 18 months old, he had a reaction to some medication, and he started to change, and he overnight stopped making any kind of progression with speech. And we quickly reverted to pointing and crying, and so we knew something wasn't quite right.
My grandma used to give me a lot of coloring stuff, and when I was a child, I couldn't communicate, so I figured out art is the real communication.
And when we still were working him through being a nonverbal person, the only way we could get him to communicate his feelings was by drawing what he felt.
I see the shape and the color, and I use that for my own advantage.
And quickly we realized that he had some skill. He definitely was leaving out features of facial expressions and stuff like that because those didn't translate well to him anyway. But as he progressed, not only was he learning how to communicate better, he also communicated feelings better in those drawings.
When we told Dane that he had autism, I remember the conversation very well. We were tucking him into bed one night, and I said, "Do you know what it means to have autism?" And he looked me square in the face, and he said, "It means I can pull rabbits out of my hat." And I said, "Yes, that's exactly right."
It doesn't define me. I get to do what I want.
When you ask the question, what did we do to help Dane cope? All I keep thinking is, Dane didn't do anything to cope. Dane actually did things to help us learn how to cope. We were different people. We didn't have as much of a tender heart for people as we did before we had him. We were much more black and white, the world is black and white kind of people. And then when autism was introduced to us through Dane, it was more like, wow, there's nuance here that doesn't exist in a world that we thought we knew. Man, we shot way too low.
Yeah. We just wanted him to find joy in what he did, and so we threw whatever resources we could at it, and it just blossomed into this thing that we just never imagined.
I made a play called Dane Doesn't Sing the Musical. It took also 3 years before the sophomore years. It took a lot of tries until Miss Hannah Williams accepted it and did pretty good. And, well, the ending was cut off, but I did the props pretty good.
The community we live in has been so supportive of his brand. When he turned 18, we had a big art show downtown and invited the community to come, and had 75 pieces that they could peruse and walk through, and t-shirts for sale. We sold out of t-shirts, and people were so supportive and took pictures with him and helped him learn to network and have conversations with people who didn't care if it was a little awkward.
Winning the UIL Film Festival championship changed a ton for him, because in addition to the validation of his work, it didn't change his motivation at all. His motivation was now solidified. What it changed was his tenacity towards everyone asking him for something that he knew, now this I can do for a career.
Well, I got a lot of projects over the years, and my mind is like, it's like an endless merry-go-round filled with stacked up papers.
I mean, within weeks, he had projects. By the time he graduated, just a few months later, he was getting weeks-long projects now, total animated films and character designs and all sorts of logo stuff. I mean, it would be wrong for me to say specifics about what his plan is.
With the yearbook for the freshmen, from the junior years, you could see Dane and him wearing a mask. I also made this magazine for COVID, Barcelona, May 2020.
I don't think he'll ever see himself as having arrived.
Yeah, I think it's the same plan that he's had since he was 7.
Why? First, I'll make a huge film about my character, and then second, I make a whole franchise of it.
And when he gets that, he'll find something else.
And then it'll be
it's
something
always
else,
be creative.
so.
That's his MO. Always be creative.
Be kind and don't ever be afraid to shine.
To having my first movie,
You're gonna make your first movie when you're 14?
yeah.